Hello, world. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Joe, a licensed certified public accountant with over 10 years' experience in corporate and public accounting. I have an extensive background in accounting, audits, and taxes. I am all about helping you take control of your money and live smarter. And today, we're talking about something that can cause major stress: what to do if you owe the IRS. If you just got a letter or found out you owe taxes you can't afford to pay, take a deep breath. Don't panic. You've got options, and I'm going to walk you through them step by step. Make sure to stay until the end because I'll share a few common mistakes people make that can actually make things worse. But before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. And be sure to check out the blog for all of our latest postings, in which we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. First things first, don't ignore the IRS. I know it's tempting, but this won't just go away. The longer you wait, the worse it gets. Late fees, interest, and even wage garnishment. Instead, open the mail or log into your IRS account at irs.gov and find out exactly how much you owe. What year is it for? If it's already overdue, this will help you figure out your next steps. After you've done that, you're going to want to double check to ensure that the IRS is correct. On the screen here, I have a sample letter of what a client usually receives from the IRS. We have Jane Doe here, and the IRS is letting her know that she owes $3,456 for her December 2023 1040 tax form, which payment was due on June 13th, 2024. Now, there are some mistakes that the IRS can make, maybe missing forms, late filings, or even identity theft. So there's a couple questions you got to ask yourself when you're double checking the IRS correspondence. Did you forget to include income? Did a 1099 or W-2 get left out? Did you move and missed a notice because you didn't update your address? If something looks off, you can amend your tax return or call the IRS. Yes, it takes time, but it's better than overpaying. And rule of thumb, your best time to call the IRS is around 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. You also want to talk to a tax pro if the numbers don't make sense. If you're able to pay in full, it will be best to do so. If you owe it and you can afford to pay it off, do it ASAP to stop interest and penalties from piling up. You can pay online by going to the IRS's website at irs.gov. And then with a debit or credit card, but fees may apply, or directly through your bank account, ACH transfer is free. You can pay. Just make sure you do not trade tax debts off for high interest credit cards. Sometimes that's even worse. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the IRS's website, and from the landing page, you're going to come straight down to make a payment. You'll click on that, and then you'll read all this stuff for your personal information, and then you'll make the selection on which is best, directly from your bank account, using a debit or a credit card. I just want to go back really quickly to talk about one thing that we glanced over. If you pay with a credit card, just make sure you're not trading a tax debt, which is a tax debt is something that we owe to the government, for a high interest credit card debt. Sometimes that makes things worse. So what we're saying here is we don't want to take our credit card, say our credit card is at 21% interest. We don't want to pay our tax liability off with a credit card that's got 21% interest, because that's probably more interest than what the IRS was charging us for the debt. So we don't want to trade a smaller debt for something that may be larger. So you could use one of these forms from the website to pick and choose which one is best for you. Now, let's go over what happens if you can't afford to pay in full. And I'm pretty sure this is the part that most people really need. If you can't afford to pay the full amount to the IRS, you have a few options. Option one is to make a payment plan, which is an installment agreement. And here we have on our screen that installment agreement request. It is Form 9465 that you can find directly on the IRS's website by clicking in a search. So with this installment agreement is if you owe $50,000 or less, you may be able to avoid filing fees by filling out and submitting to the IRS Form 9465 to establish an installment agreement online. even if you haven't received your tax bill yet. So what you're going to do is you're going to put in the form that you're requesting. For most people, it's going to be a 1040. You'll put the corresponding year, tax year end. So it's going to be the December 31st year end that you're going to need. So we'll say since December 31st, 2024 is already passed, we'll put that one in. We'll say it's for this past following season. You'll put your name, and then you'll put your social security number in here. And if it's a joint return, you'll put your spouse's information, their first name and their last name, and your spouse's social security number, only if it's a joint return. Then you'll put your current address in here. You'll put your city, your state, and your zip code. And if you have a foreign country that you're living in because you're outside of the US, you will put that information in. And then you'll check this box here in 1B if you have a new address since you filed your last tax return, if you moved. If you have a business, you must not be operating it no more. You'll put that in there along with your EIN. You'll put your telephone number. You can put a best time for them to call. You can put your work number and all that. So now we're going to go to step 5 or line 5, which tells us the total amount you owe as shown on your tax return. So we'll say for our instance, this person owes $2,000. If you have any additional balances that aren't reported in line 5, now right here, what they're saying here is we're looking at if we already have a past installment agreement or if we owe from years past from 2020, anything prior to 2024. In this instance, we'll just say no to keep it simple. We'll add these lines up 5 and 6 to come out to our total. And then we're gonna enter any amounts if we're submitting when we file this. We're gonna enter any amount that we're making toward this back tax that we owe. For here, we're gonna just say 0 to keep it simple with this request. And then we're gonna subtract line 7 and 8 if we're making any payments. So here we're not making any payments with this request, so we're gonna keep it at 2,000. And then we're gonna take 2,000 and we're gonna divide it by 72. So let me pull up my calculator. And that's going to give us 27. We'll just round it up to $28 a month. It's really $27.75. And then they're going to ask us, how much can you pay each month? They're going to tell you to pay as much as possible to limit the interest and penalty charges. And that will continue until you pay in full. So we'll say since our client uses the 50-30-20 rule and they're using a budget, we're going to say they can pay $50 a month. So now we're going to see which is higher. If line A is less than the amount on line 10 and you're able to increase it, they're going to ask you to. But if not, you'll just put that down. So for here, line 11A is larger than 10, so we're going to leave it there. And then you're going to come down to here where you're going to select the date that you want the IRS to take it directly from your bank account. So we'll say John Doe likes to take it out on the 15th. Then you'll come down, you'll fill in your banking information of wherever you want this to go. And I'm just making up numbers just to keep it simple to move it along. And then you're going to sign, and then you're going to send off. But if you owe more than $25,000, but not more than $50,000, then you'll fill out this additional information below on page 2 of our 9465 form. Another option that you have is what we call an offer and compromise. This is where you settle your tax debt for less than what you owe. But be warned, the IRS is picky. You need to prove that you can't afford the full amount now or in the future. The IRS uses pre-qualifier tools online to check if you might qualify. Now, when you're doing an offer and compromise, like I said, the IRS is extremely picky. So what they're going to do is they're going to want your past 6 months bank statements. They're going to want you to list out all of your monthly expenses, and they're going to comb through all of that to find out if you do qualify for offer compromise so you can settle your tax debt for less than what you owe. I highly recommend working with a tax professional when doing an offer and compromise on a form 656L. And your option number three and our final option is currently not collectible. So in a currently not collectible, we're going to fill out a form 433F, a collections information statement. So when are we going to fill this out? If you're in a serious financial hardship, like no job or you can't even afford rent, you might qualify to pause payments. The IRS puts your accounts on hold until your situation improves. All of these can be done by yourself online, but if it's too overwhelming, you can always get help from a tax professional or even free IRS approved programs like low income taxpayer clinics. Now, quick PSA, watch out for tax scams. Just remember, the IRS will never call you and threaten to arrest you. They'll never demand payment over the phone. Ask for a gift card or Venmo, and they also will never email you. The IRS only sends out snail mail letters through correspondence. If someone does do that, it's a scam. Hang up immediately. And when in doubt, go directly to the IRS.gov or call the official IRS number. Here are a few common mistakes people make when they owe the IRS. Ignoring the debt. The debt will only get bigger because of interest and penalties. Borrowing from a payday lender. Sometimes borrowing from a payday lender can be there. You could end up paying higher interest than what the IRS may charge you. Not filing next year's tax return on time. This will only make things worse. Letting fear stop them from taking action. Remember, filing and paying late are two separate things. Even if you can't pay, file on time to avoid the worst penalties. If you're stuck between options, consider calling the IRS or getting a low cost help from a reputable tax professional. So, let's recap really quickly. Remember, don't ignore the IRS. Penalties and interest will grow over time. Check for errors. The IRS is human just like us. They can make errors just like anyone else can. Pay what you can or set up a plan. If you're able to pay in full, I highly advise it. If not, set up a payment plan through an installment agreement if you can't pay in full. Avoid scams and common mistakes. Remember, the scams will really hurt you even more. And remember, don't do any of the common mistakes we talked about in today's video. Paying taxes is stressful, but it's not the end of the world. The key is to act fast and stay informed. I'll talk to you next week where we will uncover how charitable contributions affect your taxes. But if this video helped you, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to check out our website where we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for more financial tips.